Trying to think what else. Can we get a mic test? Heard Lions and Viper.
Test.
Yeah, Viper's good.
Test.
Great. Okay, yeah, so on my side works well too. And I'll actually do video on Discord today. So, okay. This might, like, my PC might not like this, but if you go on, yeah, I'm gonna go on the YouTube as well. So if you go on the YouTube stream today, we're gonna do a bit more discussion style. So when I'm sharing screen, or when in fact anyone else can share screen, you know, I'll present the whole screen. And when we're doing kind of live discussion, then you know, it'll be like these talking cards as you see on the stream. So yeah, so let me switch back to the other view. Okay, so yeah, maybe like this. Oh, I can focus myself. That's interesting. Okay, so yeah, hi everyone. Welcome to another week's BaconDAO community call. And as usual, every Sunday, we at the BaconDAO, we host a community call to discuss this week's latest happenings in crypto. So we have our dedicated Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin dominance TA analysis. Usually we have 4 or 5 other presenters of our head contributors / team who cover each different topic in the crypto areas. So typically we have BSC led by Viper. We have Mahi doing Polka and Kusama. We have Luke doing Bitcoin dominance and low cap and other chains. We have Hassan doing educational crypto 101 stuff. So we want to do it more as a DAO way. So every week we're kind of experimenting more. And this week, for sure, we are going to do the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the TA stuff because everyone's interested in that. That dictates the market. But for the specific altcoin topic stuff, we don't want to always just be feeding you news that even myself don't necessarily find to be useful all the time. Instead, for this week, I'm going to ask each of the head contributors to give sort of within the things that they've looked at for this week, if there were anything particularly interesting that they found to be useful or profitable, or they just want to share with the community. This way it cuts back the time a little bit to be more focused on what's actually useful instead of so much news, because we're not trying to fill stuff up. So ideally this becomes more useful, and you guys can give feedback, and in the end we'll have a bit more time to do more Q&A as well. And as usual in our BaconDAO Discord, we have our Ask Anything and DAO Ideas segments, and we already started a DAO Ideas thread earlier this week, and we got around 20 questions for topics to talk about. So that's gonna be interesting. So we're gonna cover that right at the end, and we'll try to keep this call at an hour and 30 minutes. Okay, so if you're watching on YouTube, Twitter, or anywhere else, besides Discord, if there's anything wrong with the sound, please let me know. I see Ricardo asking what Discord server this is. This is the BaconDAO Discord, discord.gg/bacon. But yeah, aside from that, let's get started. Okay, so first off, I'll bring on Viper to talk about some of the latest happenings this week in BSC. And let me just see if I can focus your screen here, actually. Yeah, Viper, are you there?
How's it going, everybody? How's it going, Dennis?
Good. Okay.
So I really like this new format. I think it's, specifically for our audience. They want to see what's relevant to them, what's what's going to make them the most money versus what happened in the past, especially since we have the daily digest. So excited to start off the first new segment of the show. So something that's very, very important. I know that this is very relevant to BSC right now, but I can assure you this is relevant on any blockchain. As you guys know, a lot of shitcoins are created every day. And because shitcoins are so easy to create now, you can simply just fork the shitcoin and then just deploy it, right? It's so easy to create a shitcoin now that literally everyone and their mother is doing it, right? Now, this is a little scary because this means the quote-unquote devs out there are not actually devs. They don't know what they're doing. They're literally just deploying some fork. Now, maybe thinking, okay, well, so what? The biggest thing that's wrong with this picture is 99.9% of the time when these devs don't know what they're doing, what you tend to see is vulnerabilities in the code. And as we all know, I hear some sort of background, Dennis.
Yeah.
As you guys all know, bots are a problem, right? With any project that's launching, there are always bots out there that are trying to snipe the coin and ruin it, right? They snipe in as soon as it gets listed, and then they sell immediately, which really, pumps and dumps the coin, and it kind of steals from the liquidity. So what people are doing is they're starting to put anti-snipe code in the code itself, and when they put that anti-snipe code, what happens is sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and a lot of time it doesn't. Now, you may be thinking, well, how is that relevant to me? I'm not a bot, I'm not a sniper. Well, these devs who don't know what they're doing, what they end up doing is they end up taxing not only the first or second block, but they end up taxing the first 5 to 10 blocks. So even legitimate users who are using PancakeSwap to purchase the token are getting a 90% tax. So it's essentially stealing money from not only the snipers, but also the legitimate people. And it's really stealing money from everybody. And so it's very, very important to do your due diligence. I know that you'll see a token sometimes and you'll think to yourself, oh, it has a lot of backing. It has, 10,000 members. Oh, the voice chats with 900 people. That doesn't mean anything. So next week, this last Friday, I talked about how to snipe the code via the contract method and stuff like that. But next week, pay especially attention to my educational content because I'll be going over due diligence as well as things to look for in the code and how to track what the dev wallet is doing, because a lot of times now these quote unquote devs are making the tax block manual. So it's not like the first 2 blocks, because whenever they tax the first 2 blocks, 9 out of 10 times that would never affect anybody, using PancakeSwap, because that's insane. Each block on BSC is 3 seconds, right? But these unexperienced devs, what they're doing is manually setting the tax to 90% and then manually taking it off. But that process is so slow. So be very, very careful, guys. The taxation's real. This is, this is literally theft. So I've been making a PDF of certain codes to look out for, and I'm going to share it with you guys soon. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Viper. I'm not sure if I fully understood the I guess we could talk after, or once you have the PDF ready. I would love to read it, but not sure how applicable that is directly to me, because I'm actually not so much in BSC projects, but or even low caps right now, but useful as always. Looking forward to actually reading that a little bit more in depth so I can understand. So everyone listening, if you're interested, check out the BSC chat and the KuCoin Chronos chat. So these chats are led by Viper, and we have a lot of useful information there. That we were Viper was one of the first. people that I know that were actually, jumping into the KCC KuCoin chain trend, and he's always on top of things. Okay, so thanks for the coverage there. So next up we have, I'm not sure if Hassan's here today to present. I don't see him in the call, so we'll have Mahi on next. So Mahi typically covers the Polkadot/Kusama ecosystem. And aside from, I guess there definitely could be opportunities there in the crowd loans, and maybe some specific projects that you found are interesting this week. Mahi, please share with us if you have anything.
Right. So just as a background, things with Polkadot and Kusama have kind of been at a standstill ever since Bifrost won the 5th auction. There was a planned break between they're going to do the first 5 Kusama auctions and then take a break, but it's been 2 weeks, and we haven't really heard anything about when the auctions are going to start taking place again on Polkadot. But I've still been researching crowd loans, and I've personally been researching the Calamari crowd loan on Kusama. Calamari will be the first privacy-preserving DeFi stack powered by ZK Snark on Kusama. The project, which is Manta Network's Canary Network, will receive new features before Manta Network. It combines Kusama and ZK Snarks to bring on-chain privacy to transactions and swaps as a part of its own suite of projects. So basically, this isn't something you can participate in like now, because it's just talk now. But they said whenever the date for the 6th auction is announced, they're gonna be using the crowd loan. So I'll read about some of the technology it brings. Yeah. First is MaryPay. It's token agnostic private payment service. MaryPay supports the private transfer of Kusama and its parachain assets. Users can transact popular assets like stablecoins, their Polkadot native Bitcoin, while simultaneously reaping the benefits of on-chain privacy. MarySwap, which is a private AMM-based DEX, it offers the capability of swaps between parachain assets while preserving the privacy of users' assets addresses. Basically a Uniswap, except there's no Etherscan to track all your transactions. I guess you could see it like that.
Right.
The token which will be distributed to the crowd loan participants is KMA. KMA is the first community-driven deflationary utility token where rebate rewards, redemption rewards, and token burns are generated from Calamari private preserving network usage.
Okay.
KMA has a burn function for redemption. Moreover, KMA also has governance and other extended features. So I was personally interested in this token because there's also no team allocation, there's no private rounds, there's no private investors, so the token distribution is completely fair and favorable to early participants.
Right.
And I think they mention an early bird bonus and referral bonus. So this one will definitely pay to be early on this. So I'll be alerting in Polka Gems when the actual crowd loan goes live. But just from reading about it, I liked Manta Network before. They have good connections to privacy stacks around Polkadot, and they have ties to Astar Network, I know, but Calamari Network looks bright, and there's a lot of people excited about it, so I think this is going to be a successful crowd loan, and the token KMA also looks like it's designed very well.
Yeah, so sounds good.
That's all I found for this week. There really isn't that many like projects to invest in, I guess you could say, but like some of the assets you can buy are like the existing parachains. It's like the only one on centralized exchanges right now is Karura, which Karura won the first Kusama parachain auction, but besides that there's really nothing.
Okay, understood. I think this is interesting. A couple of things like tokenomics design, the fact that it's pretty much all, well, not all, but like they have clear dev fund and marketing, but most of it is the PLO, liquidity mining, and lock drop. So basically the early supporters and anyone can contribute. So that's really good. And the peer-to-peer loan or the crowd loan is 30%. So not speaking on so much like specifically the product wise. Yeah, I mean, it's good that they're using ZK. But yeah, I mean, privacy hasn't really caught on yet. Fundamentally, it's a very, very strong like narrative that is desperately like underserved. And I have heard of Manta before. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, the fact that there's early bird bonus for this and the tokenomics being fair, if I were doing crowd loans already and I was bullish on Kusama, Polkadot, right, these ecosystem-wide, crowd loans, then definitely a good opportunity there. Just like I think maybe 2 weeks ago we covered the Bifrost, right? They had the double period. Those are specifically like useful / profitable opportunities that you can take advantage of throughout this kind of crowd loan period, because there's so many, right? Which one do you contribute to? Obviously you could do there's that other project that does the vault for you that like automatically distributes to each, but when there are early bird bonuses or particularly like boost periods, then opportunity there. So yeah, thanks for covering this. Calamari Network, Canary Network of Manta, doing a crowd loan very soon once the new spot opens up. So check this out if you're interested in KSM/dot ecosystem crowd loans. And thanks for that, Mahi. Really appreciate the coverage. Okay, so bring it back. Next up, let's have, I don't see Hassan. I'm guessing we didn't have a Crypto 101 plan for this week. So Luke, you there? Let's talk about what kind of altcoins or opportunities you see this week.
Okay. Let's start off with my one post in the low cap gems this week.
Yeah.
I made a post about Spell, and for those who don't know what Spell is lets Yearn finance users take loans against their assets inside Yearn vaults. So they essentially it just means that users are able to get liquidity from interest-bearing assets inside Yearn vaults.
Can you share the link with me? I know what it is. It's Abracadabra, right? That's what it is?
Yeah, I think it's down a bit more. Yeah, it's down in the gold membership.
Okay, low cap gems. Here we go. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I first made this post, it was currently $13 million, which seems like a steal. I think when you look at how much money is inside Yearn Finance, I think $13 million for its circulating market cap is pretty low, given that it's the only protocol that lets users take a loan against their Yearn vaults. So I think this is a pretty good project to keep an eye on. I set out some targets just as like the first two are based off of TA.
Yep.
And then the third one, which would be 0.003, around a third of a cent,
yep.
Is more based on
market cap.
Right. Yeah, market cap projection, and just where projection. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then a moon bag after that. So I think this is a project that's worth keeping an eye on, and especially if you're a Yearn Finance or Yearn ecosystem. If you're bullish on the Yearn ecosystem,
yep.
Then I think Spell would be a pretty good bet in the term, anyways. So I just bought a little bit of this, but I'm ultimately waiting for a more of a pullback before buying any more. So more of an investment rather than a trade.
Cool. Makes sense. I've seen this before. I didn't understand. I didn't look into like what the actual product is, but I knew that they have a Curve 3 pool with some other stablecoin that has like 20% plus APY, which is pretty good for stablecoins. It's like it's above the year rates.
Is that their stablecoin by chance? So
I don't remember. Let me check. Abracadabra money, right?
Yeah.
Abra.
Because that's their
Money is their site. I probably Cadabra. Okay. That starts pretty funny. Okay.
It's a weird word you never have to spell.
Yeah, I found this when I was doing like a bunch of trying to farm the our roots, and hold on, load for me, come on. Oh, this is not their site bugging, by the way. This is I have way too many things going on. I'm streaming and then doing a cam, doing OBS, and like it's kind of
let's maybe not worry about it too much.
Okay.
Just keep things going.
It makes sense because so it's similar to Alchemix, right? So when you're combining like lending and borrowing with existing DeFi product, there's a lot of good, like very interesting use cases that are firsts, right? So the thing I was looking at was this farm. So they have a MEM3 pool, which is like as far as I understand, like MIM is a stable coin, right? If I were to check this.
Yeah, it's their algo stable coin.
Yeah, so they have MIM and they have 3 Curve, which is like combination of USDT, USDC, and DAI. So you have 4 stable coins kind of all plugged into one liquidity pool. So there's no impermanent loss, and right now you're getting 20% APY on that, APR to be precise, at 100 million TVL. So this is slightly better than the highest rates you see on Yearn Finance or Convex, Harvest, right? Those kind of really established stablecoin liquidity mining like yield aggregators. So this was what attracted me to this, but I didn't look into like what their actual thing is besides the liquidity pool. But what you just explained makes a lot of sense, right? So for example, if I were let's say I'm using Yearn, right? They only work with Yearn vaults right now, it seems like. So let's say I have some ETH or wrapped Bitcoin that's put into Yearn to earn interest, and I get like YBTC or something, YWBTC, whatever they call it. So how that works is like typically if I want to be long on Bitcoin, I will hold wrapped Bitcoin, and then I can deploy that Bitcoin into Yearn DeFi, and that will give me like 5 to 10% rate per year. But the cool thing with Yearn is that when I deposit that wrapped Bitcoin into their yield aggregator for yield, it doesn't just get locked up. I actually get a placeholder token back called like YBTC that says like, okay, you have this many wrapped Bitcoin deposited with us. So that token is ERC20, and those can be composable with other DeFi as well, such as Abracadabra or Spell. I'm not even sure what their official name is, but let's say like I have some Bitcoin, I put it into Yearn, it's earning me 5 to 10% interest per year. Then if at some point I want to participate in a sale or use some USDC in the short term that I think, I need some stablecoin for the short term, but in a couple months I can get it back, but I don't want to lose the exposure to Bitcoin, right? Typically I can deposit my Bitcoin into Aave or a bunch of other lending, but the biggest one is Aave. And then I would get USDC back, pay them like 10% interest per year. And then I pay that amount back in a month or so, and I get the same amount of Bitcoin. So I don't lose the exposure there, but I get a little bit of liquidity in the short term. This makes it better because while I have this short-term liquidity, my collateral there is still earning interest. So it's a boost there, definitely. So I'm probably not I don't know all of the DeFi projects, but I just right away that use case there makes sense to me. So and now if we're talking pure speculation, right, how big is this going to be, right? You have to look at like TVL and market cap, their tokenomics, the price. But I do think this is quite new from what I've heard of it so far. And when you have a new project like Alchemix, right, a great example that's very quite undervalued early on, but then popped off, right? Alchemix did something similar to some extent because they also took out loans against, right, your ETH, and it was died before, but with an interesting tweak where your loan is automatically paid back. So like it's a better form of loan, right? There it was reducing your risk. Here you get the same type of loan as like on Aave, but your collateral is earning interest, so it's a better deal. So yeah, right away, I think it's a good project. I'm happy you covered it. In fact, I think a lot of projects you see are very similar to what I see. It's like Alchemix, Abracadabra, like these DeFi stuff. So yeah, good project.
Yeah,
definitely.
I really like DeFi, and yeah, I think that's where my bread and butter is at. When it comes to NFTs and whatnot, I always feel like I buy the tops, so I stay out of those. Also, something that you said about Alchemix is I think I'm starting to get even more bullish on them with time, especially as their market cap comes down, because I think what they do can be summed up so easily and so quickly to retail that I think it's just kind of just bullish in that sense. I can go to anyone, my dad, my if you can take out a loan and then that loan pays
off itself, right? Yeah.
So I think there's something to be said for when you look at something like Yearn Finance, it's really hard to understand what an automated yield aggregator is. Yeah. So when you look at something like Alchemix, they ultimately have a way better marketing just off their slogan. So Alchemist is definitely one that I'm watching and will probably be accumulating also here soon. So anyways, what I really wanted to talk about today though was some Axie stuff.
Okay.
And me and Mr. Bamzo are still plugging away on the scholarships and whatnot, but I wanted to highlight the potential in breeding. So with floor Axies are obviously the cheapest, and you can get 2 floor Axies that are have no breeds on them for just over 0.3 ETH. And if you decide to breed those, it would cost you about 0.35 ETH in AXS and SLP. So all in all, that chalks up to about 0.66 Ethereum if you're wanting to breed floor Axies. And essentially, you would get in 5 days, you would get 2 used Axies for your original purchases. And then you would have bred 3 Axies after that. And you can then sell that on for 0.81 ETH, which would be a 23% increase from your initial investment. And that's just floor Axies too. So when you start getting into Axies that people want to be purchasing and want to be buying, some in-meta Axies that have that are a little bit more liquid than the other Axies, you can buy virgins for them for about 0.25, 0.26, and then again the same 3.5 for SLP and AXS, and you'd get about 0.81 0.86 in startup costs, in Ethereum startup costs for the low in meta axes, and you would get a 37% return in 5 days with this method. And then moving on to high, to more profitable in meta axes, if you're willing to spend about 1 Ethereum, you can probably get about 1.5 out, or a little bit over that, so you get over a 50% return in 5 days if you're willing to. So this is ultimately what we're going to be doing with the scholarship program, I think, is when we start breeding, when we start having our scholars, earning their SLP, and what we're going to be doing with the SLP, I think, is going to be breeding it, because breeding more axes, because there is these strong returns rather than just selling the liquid SLP tokens. So it's definitely something to look at. However, these axes aren't performing with the rest of the market right now. So if you're bullish in this zone, then it probably would be best just to hold ETH, because axes are dropping in ETH value, but they're holding their dollar value.
Okay.
So
I see.
Do you
have the numbers somewhere? Because I couldn't catch all the numbers there.
Yeah, you know what? Let me just plug it into the events content.
Yeah.
And I do have all the numbers with me.
Great. So I know you and Bamzo have been working really, really hard at this, and so now that we have the hub, right? Like I don't know if there was a thread somewhere. So let's get that at least. It might not have to be a proposal, but just post in. I think I don't know if you posted yet, but like either research or content. It's kind of a DAO idea / DAO proposal, right? But so in the Discord we have the ideas threads. People just type like what they want to, rough ideas. But when it's like more longer form, like okay, here's how much money we need, what's the strategy, breeding versus like scholarship, how fast we can make a profit, right? We need like a place to keep all that, and that's why we have the DAO Ideas Hub. Yeah, if you got a doc or anything like that?
I could add a category within the events content for axes, and we can add a few tags that kind of can categorize the different topics within the axes discussions. I don't know whether you want to categorize that in something like content or research, but it's something we can definitely put in.
Sorry, do you mean in the Discord or?
In the discourse.
Okay. So on there, where's events content? What?
So there's content. Do you see the placeholder for content?
Yeah.
And there's also one for research. So I don't know, axes can either fall under content or research, and then we can subcategorize them using tags for various topics within axes.
Okay, so content right now, there's the daily digest, ask anything, community calls, inside reports, Bitcoin analysis, Bitcoin autonomous. Yeah, so
maybe it's more fitting under research.
Well, I'm not sure, because eventually this will go into a proposal, right? Like it'll go into like a DAO proposal, main author being Luke and Bamzo, to say, okay, here's how much we need, how many people we need from this, how much money we can generate and how long of a time.
I think it'd be useful to also have some sort of a discussion thread around axes.
Definitely.
Discourse.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So perhaps let's do I think either content or research. If we're keeping research as very as these kind of very organized like already published pieces, right? Like what Dave Ether posted about Convex, then let's keep the discussion in content probably.
We could even add a new category called discussions, and then
that's what I was thinking. It's like I think content is more like because in content right now, right, in Ask Anything, there's going to be a bunch of this is mostly discussion based. And then, but daily digest, community calls, Bitcoin analysis, Bitcoin dominance analysis, insider reports, these are going to be like ready to post type of long stuff. So maybe
a new category altogether.
Yeah, maybe like a large category altogether, just discussions. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff. Okay, so
Yeah, we can. I just plugged in the numbers, by the way.
Yeah.
So if you guys do want to see that, it's in events content.
Events content. Okay, so floor axes are 0.66 ETH. Total assets, as in.
Yeah. So as in ETH. Sorry, I kind of just rushed to get this done.
Yeah. Okay, total assets profit. So this is. Okay, so you start off with. So let's say that we start off with the floor axis, an example. So we would need 0.66 ETH to get how many axes?
2. That would be the startup cost.
Okay, and then total assets would be like after one breed. So you get like 2 axes and an egg.
Yes. So you would get 3 axes after with this method.
Yeah.
So, you would breed. You would get your initial 2 that you start off with, and then you would breed 3 after that, and then they would hatch in 3 days.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, it's so I have done a bit of breeding before, like I said, but obviously back then, like Axie wasn't really in demand, but even then it was like you don't lose your profit at least. So we can definitely do it. Yeah, let's do it. I think we just have to do it. So I put a poll out, not even a poll, I put a teaser out on the BaconDAO Twitter, because I saw a bunch of people DMing like Axie managers, and I said who's looking for Axie scholarships, follow BaconDAO, join the BaconDAO, because we have our managers working on this that will launch very soon. And we do have the form, right? I think the form is ready, so we know like roughly how many people are willing to play and have dedicated time to play. So I don't know if you have the form with you, but let's connect after and put together this proposal, or even just the first discussion / proposal that's public. And we'll go from there. I think we just have to do it. So both scholarship players and also breeding, right? So managers will handle the breeding, and then every time there's new axes coming in, they will be used to breed, but also like our players will be able to play and generate income. All of that can feed into itself. Nice. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, thanks for the coverage on Abracadabra spell. Alchemix, I think you gave a pretty good example on Alchemix there. Definitely worth a look.
Yeah. I'm
not sure what their market cap is now. And then lastly, Axie. So looking forward to I'll summarize these in today's call summary on the BaconDAO Hub. Okay, so we'll jump back into Bitcoin dominance in a bit. I'm not sure if Wonka's here today. Is Wonka on the call? If not, I can do. Okay, so no worries there. Then let's move right into the TA segment for today. Okay, so we're 50 minutes in. Let's try to speed this up. So let me grab TradingView. And we'll cover more price action specifically. So let me know if my screen bugs out anytime or if any sound is bad. But okay, so as usual, let's start with Bitcoin. And honestly, it has been a really great 2 weeks, a week and probably 10 days or so. I think this is the 10th day that we are potentially in green. So same levels we've been watching, right? So from the 30K bottom to around the 40K, 41K top of this range, we have broken out. It's looking quite promising. Now, I see people like, they're quite toxic, right? Because as far as I know, I've been the only one that has been calling this range since the May breakdown. And while everyone was calling, oh yeah, this is the bottom, and everyone was getting trapped, like practically a lot of people got wrecked. I hope that if you followed me and listened to my advice, right, that this has been, you were able to conserve your capital through this chop period. And even myself got chopped out a little bit, like at the bottom here, right, at this 1 day fake out there. But very quickly, I recognized that was a shakeout. And it's really important to recognize when your level was too tight, because I was watching about like 31K, and when the daily closed below 31, I got shaken out. It happens to everyone, right? But it's good that like I got shaken out once instead of like 5 times throughout here, because if I entered every time that it seemed like there was a rally, I would have lost like all my money. So that's what chop does to you. But anyways, so now this is looking very convincing, because we have closed above 40K. Even if you map it to like 41, we have closed the daily above 41. So obviously, to avoid being shaken out here again, you want to stay patient and wait for a very clear confirmation here. However, I do think the retest here at around 41 is already a pretty good entry point if you are looking too long. I know a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines and saying, oh yeah, like I didn't buy the bottom. Look, like there are so many opportunities to buy. Like, why didn't I buy the bottom? But I can tell you straight up, less than like 5 people that I've seen across for the past like 2 months have made profits from these bottoms. Practically nobody was able to. Anyone that was telling you, oh yeah, like look, I bought the bottom. Hey, look, like this is the bottom. Chances are they're not trading much. They're not trading with serious sides, because those are the same people that will like only hodl. They're not traders. It's super easy to be perma bull on Bitcoin, but to give practical advice, very difficult. So yeah, don't be like sad that you didn't buy like low 30Ks. Many of the like large investors that trade in the millions, right? Some of our private investors, the advisors I talk to, quite a few people in the from the BaconDAO team will tell you that they had no idea. I had quite a few calls, and a lot of people were calling for lower levels, and myself too, right? Specifically around this breakdown here, fake out. Just know that when it's going up, that's better for everyone, because yes, this is from 30 to 40K, that's a 33% move, right? But if you're in Bitcoin, we're looking at like 100K, 200K targets, right? So it makes no sense to be so caught up on the missing out the initial margin here, right? Because these lows, these are the most difficult time to trade. You just want to be on the winning side, right? And how do you do that? You wait for a clear trend to develop, and then you take the easier trade instead of trying to catch the bottom here. So don't listen to people that claim that they have the high ground, they call this whatever, like those are all bullshit. But anyways, so I think this now 10, 11 days of upwards move is starting to be looking like a pretty convincing uptrend. So certainly this here is much easier to trade than this chop period, which gives me and a lot of, I think, our members a lot of relief, because now the strategy is a lot simpler. So buy on dips, right? this is looking quite convincing as an uptrend. So in an uptrend, you no longer have to kind of trade the range and say, okay, like this is what's the count here, okay, what's the stop here, like are people hunting liquidity, whatever, right? Buying dips. So first tip I'm looking forward to buying is obviously the retest of the 40K resistance turn support here. And if we even fall back into the range, right, around the 50% of the range, as well as the top of this lower part of the consolidation, right around 36K, this red line here would also be a good range to enter. So I think anything from 40K to 36K, I'd be looking to long. Yeah, so that's kind of my current strategy. I don't think 36K is so likely because this is quite convincing. Now, what gives me confidence right now, again, is the same order flow analysis that we have I covered last week. So let me just bring that up. So this specifically applies to Binance, right? Because Binance gives you not only the open interest for order flow and the funding rate, which are available across all derivative exchanges, but they also give you the long short accounts ratio. I'm not an expert on this by any means, but I just learned about this like about 2 weeks ago, and it has worked out so far. So I'm gonna keep using this and monitoring it. So how is this used, right? So you can go on coinalites.net. This is a trading view alternative, let's say, that not only looks at price and volume data, but also looks at futures market, right? So when you have derivatives exchange, you have a funding rate for perpetual swaps, which is the interest rate that longs and short have to pay each other, depending on how many people are, what the total amount of positions are, right? If most people are opening longs, then the longs have to pay more interest to be long, and vice versa. If most people are short, then if most positions are short, then they have to pay interest to the longs. This keeps the price in check. And it tracks the open interest, which is like the total amount of positions open. So we'll dive into this a bit again right now to see how we use this. So the three indicators I use are open interest, aggregated funding rate, and long short accounts ratio. So let me bring up the full screen for this. So first off, at the top here, this is the price, and we're on the daily chart, and you see it agrees with it's exactly from TradingView from Binance, right? You see we had about 10 days, 11 days of green now. And the second chart here is the open interest. So open interest tells us how much total positions or total interest people are paying. So because we're on a leverage market, right, with derivatives, when you open up 2x long, 3x long, you have to pay interest. So when the open interest is rising and high, like if I draw a trend line here, right, this means that more and more leverage positions that have interest are being opened, right? So you see that even though during this consolidation period, price was low, right? Even though during this consolidation period, price was low, you see the open interest has been rising. So basically, there were a lot more leverage positions opened during this consolidation than during these highs, right? Because at the 50 to 60K high price levels, the open interest was relatively low. So there weren't as much leverage positions. So that's the first thing to note. Now, secondly, even though we know the open interest is rising, we don't know if they were mostly long or short. And that's where we use the second chart. So the second chart here is the aggregated funding rate, which tells us, let me just make it a little bit clearer here. So the funding rate tells us the premium that people are willing to pay on the derivative exchange versus the spot. So when funding rate is red like this or negative, it means people are paying. So it means the price on the derivative exchange, for example, BTC USDT perpetual, is lower than the actual price of Bitcoin. So one Bitcoin might trade at 42,000, but the perpetual, the futures contract trades at maybe 41,000. This is because more positions are short on the perpetual market, right? So people are expecting price to go still lower. Now, even though funding rate is still a little bit red, a little bit negative, you see it has been rising consistently since we first had this May drop, right? So throughout this sideways consolidation, funding rate has been rising, which means the premium between the futures contract and the spot price has been like shrinking. So on the initial drop, right, basically when price crashed from 50 to like 30K, right, a lot of people were short. And that's why we saw a huge drop in the funding rate here. Funding rate was very negative. It means a lot of people opened short, right? So the spot price of Bitcoin might have dropped to 35K, but the futures price is already below 30K, as you can see from this funding rate. But over time, when Bitcoin was consolidating, funding rate was going up. So this means the futures price has been slowly catching up to the spot price. So people were getting more and more bullish, and shorts were being closed and longs were being opened in the grand scheme of things, in the total amount of positions. So combining these first two indicators, we know that a lot more futures positions or leverage positions were being opened. And throughout this period, the new positions being opened are predominantly long, right? So in volume, right? So in I guess actual size. So yeah, so there were more leveraged longs being opened than there were shorts in total position size. However, if you look at the third chart here, which is the long-short accounts ratio, as you can read on the label here, this tells us the number of accounts that are long versus short, and it's a ratio, right? Longs divided by shorts. Number of accounts is the key here, because even though the first two charts tells us that there are more leverage positions being opened and the total dollar value of the positions are more long than short, you see the long-short accounts ratio is still relatively low. It didn't increase. In fact, if you zoom out a little bit, you see the long-short accounts ratio used to be much higher. But now, throughout this consolidation, the long-short accounts ratio has been low. And even on this recent breakout here, right, from 30 to 40K, this rally, long-short accounts ratio is still very low at pretty much historical lows. What does this tell us? It tells us that in this recent rally, people have to long, right? So large accounts longed, a few large accounts longed, and open interest dropped. So some shorts got squeezed, so they were forced to close. This contributed to this rally. However, the total amount of accounts that are long versus short remain the same, which means large accounts are longing, but the other like huge number of scattered small retail trader accounts are still short. That's why this long-short accounts ratio is still very low. So this tells us that first off, the retail is still in disbelief. The small accounts are still in disbelief, while the large accounts mostly contributed to this rally from 30 to 40K. So that fits with the kind of mental thinking that a lot of people have right now, as you see even in our Discord very clearly, which is like a lot of people are scared to enter. Oh no, like I missed the bottom. I didn't buy in low 30s. I'm not too scared to enter. That is most retail traders right now. But the insiders have already entered. So you want to be on the insider's side. And secondly, open interest, while it has dropped, is still not at, back to the low levels of like 33 to 40K. It's still at around 50K, which means there are still a lot of leverage positions being that is currently open. And judging by the long short accounts ratio, it's the many retail accounts, small retail accounts that are short are still short. So they are in disbelief. The people that want to long haven't longed just yet, the vast retail traders, and the retail traders that have shorts opened haven't closed their shorts. Some of them closed, as you can see from this like halfway drop from open interest, but it hasn't closed all the way down. So open interest still has more downside to go, which means short squeeze still has power. So that's what I deduce from the order flow indicators that I see. That's what gives me a bit more confidence in this current rally. And from what I can see, the rally from 30 to 40K is mostly large traders squeezing the retail traders, but there are still a lot that haven't been squeezed, and the retail is still in disbelief while the large traders are still buying in. So I want to be on the side of the insiders, the large accounts, the institutions that trade in the millions, instead of the small retail accounts that typically get murdered. So that's why if I were to bet, I would definitely bet on this rally still continuing. Specifically, the levels wise, is 40K going to hold, or is it going to dip back down to 36? Anyone's guess, but I don't think this is the end yet. I think we're very likely to see 50K tested first before anything in the low 30s again. Whether this is a long-term reversal, that isn't entirely clear yet, because I think we just closed above the 200 daily EMA. If you look at the exponential moving average on the daily, right? So, and then we look at the 200 daily, let me adjust this. I think so we just closed above the 200 daily EMA, this blue average line. I think we are about testing the weekly 21 EMA. Yeah, so we could close the weekly above the 21 EMA. We'll have to see. So really, the 40K range is very important to hold on the daily and specifically weekly basis. If we can close the weekly above 40K, it'll look very good. This could potentially be the reversal that we're looking for. But in the long term, not so sure yet, give it another week. But in the short term, definitely I think the rally will continue. My bet is on the rally continuing. And that's why I hold Bitcoin right now instead of stables. Okay, so aside from that, let's look at ETH. Again, like I covered in I think the latest TikTok video I made, ETH right now is still kind of consolidating a little sideways against Bitcoin. So what this means is ETH is not a bad bet, right? If you are overall bullish on crypto in general, like ETH will be the second best, fastest to perform right after Bitcoin. So right after Bitcoin rallies, ETH will rally. Typical behavior. But currently, right, ETH isn't outperforming Bitcoin just yet. As you can see on the chart of ETH versus Bitcoin, it's kind of consolidating in this sideways asymmetrical triangle, which does not have a directional bias. So, so effectively, if you're long ETH right now instead of Bitcoin, you probably won't lose money. In fact, you'll probably still make money, but you might not make more money than if you just hold Bitcoin. However, your downside is greater, right? Because if this rally on Bitcoin is fake and we drop again, ETH will drop more. So you're taking on more risk, but for less reward. And that's why I'm not in ETH right now. There will be a time though, however, to enter back into ETH. I think that will be very soon. Specifically, if ETH can see a, why is it not drawing arrows for me? If ETH can see a breakout out of this triangle and specifically make a new higher high here above, let's say 0.069 versus Bitcoin, I would say this is quite convincing. I'm probably long at the retest here. But I think this can only happen, this Bitcoin rally, let me bring up the Bitcoin chart. If this Bitcoin rally can be sustained and we see a couple more like, upsides, and then like Bitcoin kind of consolidates sideways. When this consolidation happens, this is the optimal time to enter ETH. And in fact, most other altcoins that you're looking at. Fundamentals here don't matter too much. As long as you're legit project, anything that that like floats your boat, Dot, Link, Kusama, Binance Coin, right, FTX Coin, Solana, all the DeFi coins, any of the large NFT coins, Engine, right, like VET, anything at all, right, that's a legit altcoin, doesn't matter. Wait till this happens, wait till this Bitcoin consolidation happens, and all of them will pump all together. And in order to spot this consolidation, the best way to do it is to look at Bitcoin dominance. So if we look at BTC.D, I think this is a really good time to bring Luke back if you're still here. But I think myself and him, we've been watching pretty much the same charts. So Luke, if you want to jump in.
Here, I'll post what I have.
Sure, or you can share screen, or if you want to pause your chart, I'll bring up the chart. Okay, so I see your chart.
Yeah, I don't think I have the best internet, so.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, so I think we have ultimately the same conclusion.
Yeah.
If you want me to just go into it, on the weekly, Bitcoin dominance has failed to has found the trend resistance, and has after rallying close to the 21 EMA, which it wicked close up to. The 21 EMA is around 49.7. However, Bitcoin dominance didn't have a strong close, as liquidity bled into alts this week.
Yeah.
And now it looks like Bitcoin dominance is pulling back to that green trend support, or that blue trend support. And I think that's where I'll be watching for a bounce on the macro term here soon, anyways.
Yep.
Also, it looks like we're getting close to the top ranges of those older closes from. Anyways, I think there might be another support somewhere close here, but I don't think it's nearly as strong as the trend supports. So on the daily. So after a strong rally, Bitcoin consolidated briefly above the 48% support zone. Bitcoin's last candle had a strong bearish close at the bottom of the support zone. Now Bitcoin dominance looks like it broke the support zone and is now potentially falling back to either the 100 EMA, 100 daily EMA, or the trend support, which I just previously mentioned. It looks like we're just below the 100 EMA, and we could wick back up, but I think my bet is still on the trend line here. I think that's the best place to look for a bounce currently.
Yep.
On the 4 hour, I kind of called this a couple days ago. On the 4 hour, Bitcoin dominance failed to bounce off the support zone, and instead Bitcoin dominance's double top looks like it came into fruition.
Yep.
And and it's since pulled away from that support since I previously detailed the double top. And I think we have the same conclusion for the most part. Bitcoin dominance shows it shows alts are starting to see some relief, right, after this rally.
Yeah.
And with Bitcoin at resistance right now, or close to resistance, I'm currently being patient for a pullback at least to 39K is what I said. And I think you mentioned a minute ago you're looking
like
for a bounce around 40K?
40 to 36, somewhere in that range. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also said hopefully we get a pullback to about 35K, which I think is another support that I lined up. But ultimately, I'm in no rush to enter right now because the risk to reward in this area is pretty. It's like it's like 1R right now.
Yeah.
You can either go up 3K or you can go down 3K, and alts are. If Bitcoin rallies up to 45K, then Bitcoin dominance could, rally also. Yeah. So I'm currently not looking to just buy into alts right now. It just doesn't make too much sense. I'm either waiting for a pullback or more rallying from Bitcoin until it breaks like 45K, and then I'll be a bit more confident.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm certainly not bearish on altcoin, right? Like if you just absolutely must hold like your favorite top altcoin, like go ahead. It's not a bad time to be bullish in crypto in general, right? It's way better than holding fiat, I think. So yeah, nothing against that, but it's just me. Like I like to trade according to Bitcoin dominance. So whether I'm in Bitcoin or more altcoins, it really depends on Bitcoin dominance. So yeah, want to see a bit clearer trend, clearer downtrend in order for me to be in altcoins. So that would only happen with a break, at least with a break below this support here, because a break of support in an uptrend starts a potential reversal. So
yeah, and I think on the macro. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no.
I think on the macro, Bitcoin dominance is going to continue to make lower lows with time, all-time lows.
Yeah.
So with the rise of NFT video games and Ethereum and everything, DeFi and whatnot, it only makes sense to assume that Bitcoin dominance is going to lose. Bitcoin's going to lose its dominance with time.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of trying to find the macro tops and the macro
the
bottoms,
timing to
is
enter
what is important to look out for. Yeah,
exactly. I think so too.
Yeah. So anyways, waiting for a bit of a pullback, and then as long as Bitcoin takes a bounce, then I'll be willing to throw in a lot of money into alts currently. So
okay,
that's currently what I'm waiting for.
Sounds good. Yeah, myself, I mean, yeah, you just have to watch Bitcoin dominance. Like as long as you're you have a clear trend definition from your TA on Bitcoin dominance chart, to say, okay, now we are in reverse alt season because Bitcoin dominance is trending up, and then at which point we started alt season based on your TA on the Bitcoin dominance, then yeah, feel free to act on anything that you see makes sense. But there's nothing then the TA is very arguable because TA is always probabilities. But the thing I think most people have to understand is if you're blindly in altcoins because like you roughly know this altcoin like has strong fundamentals and like I want to be in it just because, and then like what's the best time to enter this specific altcoin? There is none, right? The only thing that like the 90% of the time it's driven by this chart, the Bitcoin dominance chart for all altcoins. So yeah, so that's the thing you have to watch. And I think this ties in really well with a question that we had in the DAO. So let's go into that. So starting from this week, right, I posted 2 days ago in a thread in our Discord to ask what do you want us to cover in this Sunday's community call, and we had like 13 responses here and about 20 responses total for some pretty good questions. So we'll do coverage from top down. So something that specifically ties in really well, and I think is a very common beginner question, is like this question from Aditya. Is it best time to invest in YFI? So a couple things, right? First off, if you're looking to invest based on fundamentals, yes, it is a good time, right? Because it is cheaper than before. And when you look at fundamentals, you invest based on valuations, not based on price charts, right? So the fact that you ask, like, is it best time? That's not necessarily the right question. If you're looking to invest, then you're saying, is YFI undervalued based on fundamentals to invest, right? Because timing versus investment, not necessarily, they're kind of contradictory. Now, that's why I say, okay, if you're looking to just invest based on fundamentals, you believe in DeFi, go ahead. It's fine. But if you're looking at more so, is it best time to enter in YFI as more of a trade? Because let's say you buy YFI and you're looking at the charts all day, then no, I don't think it's the best time just yet. Because for that, first off, you have to understand the YFI price and the market cap, the chart, the fundamentals don't matter if you're looking to trade, because the only thing that matters is the Bitcoin dominance chart. Once Bitcoin dominance starts a clear uptrend and it breaks down below this trend line support and starts making new lower highs and lower lows in the downtrend, not only YFI, but everything else in that genre, every major DeFi coin will rally. To some extent, some will outperform others, but negligible. So that's why you have to really ask the right question. If you're trying to invest specifically in YFI and you believe in that project, great. But if you're trying to time when you're going into DeFi coins, then the really right question to ask is it the best time to...
Io non lo sento adesso.
Sorry, yeah. So the right question to ask, is it the right time to enter into altcoins in general? And that isn't yet. So for that, you really have to look at Bitcoin dominance. Okay. Let's walk through the questions from top down. So Kat asks, newest low caps with high potential. This is definitely going to be a good question, a common question, right? So again, publicly trading coins, no. I don't think there's any. Investment opportunities, there are a few. So I invested in RMRK, as I've shown in videos way before, like probably a month and a half ago. I invested in Pulse Chain. That's it. That's the current only two. I also have Axia Coin, but that's because I work there. I used to work there and I was an advisor there. So that's not really putting down my money there. But Pulse Chain and RMRK are what I've invested in currently. You can call them low caps because they are below kind of, they haven't even launched yet. But again, like specifically, if you're looking to go on CoinGecko and find low caps that will outperform, you should look at Bitcoin dominance. And again, Wick Vol says we should cover Pulse Chain. Yeah, I'll cover that in a bit, right at the end. Best decentralized stablecoins. So DAI, definitely number one for decentralized stablecoins somewhat, but nowadays it's pretty arguable because it highly depends on, it's highly backed by USDC, so you can't really call it so decentralized anymore. To some extent, Ample is pretty good. Frax has been Frax isn't as large as Ample, but its price stability is really good, much better than Ample. Fei and DSD or ESD are kind of not as good. I would say Frax and Ample. Yeah, if anyone else has any other, feel free to just jump in. Okay. Explanation, Pulse Chain POS. Yeah, again, I'll look at this at the very end. Which NFTs, if any, you guys are looking to pick up at the moment? Not any right now for me. If you just look at the overall NFT market, it's very, very pump and dump like. It's all like shitty collectible JPEGs launching with 10,000 collections, and then they get in touch with influencers. I get a lot of these DMs like, oh, can you like show our NFT pre-launch and you get to mint first. Trust me, all of the Twitter people that have punks as their profile pictures that tell you to mint specific NFTs are getting in early like this. It's just like IDOs. But at the very least, IDOs have a market, right? Afterwards, you can trade, you can dump your coins. So if you get into the whitelist, you can make a profit. On NFTs, there's literally just OpenSea, and it's some projects get left like thousands of holders with no exit liquidity. So no, I don't think it's a good idea. Now, having said that, if you are really into the top NFT projects, there are opportunities there, right? Like punks just popped up, right? So if you had any punks, you've made a lot of money. R blocks, apes, me bits, right? Hashbacks, debatable. Autoglyphs just popped up. Order beats. A lot of the generated ones from R blocks, also pretty good. Squiggles. The actual OG ones, Crypto Cats, Moon Cats. Yeah, these projects that like didn't start from this bubbly NFT hype period by like 2 anons, those are decent projects to look out for. Dorab asks, the future of Ethereum, do you believe true DeFi will be built on top of Bitcoin? If yes, when DeFi is built on Bitcoin, what use will ETH have? I don't think so. I don't think DeFi will be built on Bitcoin because it really goes against a lot of the design choices of Bitcoin, because there are forks of Bitcoin that have the opcodes, or so to speak, functionalities built into the base layer that can have staking and smart contracts, but naturally those make Bitcoin a lot less immutable, and attack vectors become like multifaceted, and like it no longer serves as well as the reserve asset, or the what's it called, holder value, whatever. Store value is the word, right? The whole idea behind Bitcoin and it being the default store value is because it doesn't change. Like, you cannot build smart contracts on top of it. You cannot build too much DeFi that could be exploited and lose Bitcoin, right? The base chain has not changed, right? The protocol has not changed for so long, versus Ethereum that has constant changes, right? And upgrades. So there are different use cases, and that's why I don't think DeFi will be built on Bitcoin. We've seen Lightning Network, which is technically DeFi. It is there, it works, nobody's using it, right? We've seen like Liquid, which is another sidechain for Bitcoin. We've seen DeFi chain, which is like a fork of Bitcoin that does DeFi on top of the Bitcoin chain. They don't take off, right? They have no TVL. Most of the TVL is by doing a bridge, whether decentralized or centralized, right? We have Wrap Bitcoin or Ren Bitcoin bridged over to Ethereum and using smart contracts there. This is a better design, in my opinion. Not so much like hating on the DeFi on Bitcoin crowd, but you have to have use case. You have to have users and good user experience and a lot of value locked in order for the market to decide what's the winning approach, right? And right now, clearly, the winning approach is bridging Bitcoin to Ethereum and using DeFi on top of Ethereum. Okay, Juno Crypto asks, Ava Stars, I'm a huge fan. I think if people understood dynamics of replicants and why they are a good bet would be helpful. Yeah, so I don't really understand replicants, but I have minted a lot of Ava Stars. So Ava Stars, I think, is a good NFT opportunity. So they are one of the first and most technically strong NFT projects in the space that have been doing avatars way before all of these guys. In fact, I think they are the second to do it after CryptoPunks that were targeting avatars with NFTs. And I think their total collection is like 2.5K. And in fact, something interesting with them is they launched 5 series, each with 5,000 Ava stars that you can mint. But this launch lasted a year, like a year and a half. And that's why for the past year and a half, the Ava stars price didn't see any price discovery. Because throughout this period, you could always mint at the base price. So there was no speculation possible. But the total 5 series just finished minting, which means now there's no longer the base tier of the original Ava stars able to mint. So I think Ava stars could see a price appreciation soon. I do hold like around 30 Ava stars, not many, but like they're like legendary tiers. I think it's a very underlooked project. They're one of the strongest. Their founders are like extremely knowledgeable in this space. They help like so many people, and their avatars are generated on chain. The mechanics there are way better than 99% of the NFT profile picture projects you see out there today. So yeah, if you're looking to something actually legit, look at Ava stars. Anwar asks ICP. ICP is kind of a scam. It is what it is, right? Their team kind of and private investors sold off their coins. Curtis asks, looking forward to Wonka's analysis. Yeah, so I think Wonka's here now. I don't know. I mean, we could leave Wonka to cover his analysis again right after the Q&A if people are interested. Dave Ether asks, best ways to use indicators, LA waves versus other indicators like RSI, stock RSI, MACD, and volume. I use RSI, stock RSI, and MACD. Specifically only one way, which is the divergence way. It's a bit like I could give you a just really rough example. One that I definitely know is on the chart with like a quick 2-minute tutorial, but I'll try to make a actual in-depth like a educational piece on our BaconDAO hub. So check out our hub.bacondao.com if you want to see that. But how I use RSI or stock RSI or MACD, these are all momentum indicators, right? So I use them in the way of divergence. So for example, on this previous rally around 50 to 60K, right? We had a divergence signal that was telling us when the top was in. Specifically, right? You have 3 higher highs here, right? On the price, but on RSI, you see we had 3 consecutive lower highs matching the 3 higher highs. So this tells us this is what they call a bearish divergence. What this means is even though the prices are making higher highs, on each subsequent high, there's actually less momentum. So typically this is a reversal signal telling us that, okay, on the next sort of lower high, this is most likely the end of the trend. Same thing you see down here, right? We have had higher lows, right? 3 higher lows, but on RSI, we had somewhat 3 higher highs, higher lows, right? So yeah, no, so 3 lower lows on the price, 3 higher lows on the RSI. This isn't as individually, it's not as useful when it isn't as clean, because like you see here, okay, is this a higher low or not, or is this sideways? So it's not entirely useful by itself, but it definitely is a good indicator to combine with others. So this is how I like to use RSI, MACD, stock RSI, all the same way, is through divergence. Okay, Orange Angle asks, the Tether news. I think it's still, again, like how I always say, fundamental news on the grand scheme of things. When you're looking at like regulation, policy changes around Bitcoin, stablecoins, Tether, USDC, these like multi-billion-dollar projects, and when you see the news being released on Bloomberg, it's not actionable. It's the average Joe do not understand policy. Just simple, right? I don't understand policy. I don't think most people in the Discord understand policy. So quite a tree, right? When you look at this, usually the goal of this article is not to educate people. Instead, it's Bloomberg and their investors and the people that posted this, I want this to be released at this specific time, want you to think in a certain retail way and like either panic sell or FOMO in. So I think the best actionable advice I can give is ignore major headlines, all of them. It's counterintuitive. It really hurts you more than it benefits you. Yeah, so that's my stance on that. And lastly, let's talk about Pulse Chain. So if you guys have seen my TikTok video about 4 or 5 videos ago, I sacrificed so far about 300K now total in the Pulse Chain, so-called ICO, you could call it. Let me just bring that up. So if you're interested in this project, you can go on pulsechain.com. So right away, straight up, right? If you hate Hex and you think Hex is a scam, and this like fundamentally you hate Hex, you hate Richard Hart, probably don't get in this, because like you have to be somewhat unbiased in the first place. I used to hate Hex a lot. I still understand why people hate it, because like Hex is effectively, it's very simple, right? So people buy Hex, they lock it up multi-year, and more people buy, more people lock it up, right? So it's very Ponzi-like. And yes, Richard Hart owns a lot of the supply. So very early on in the days of Hex, people speculated that, oh yeah, since everyone else is locking up, but Richard could dump a lot of his supply. Looking at the low volume, he could exit scam at any time. Probably still true, right? But looking at the past year and a half or so of the price of Hex, you can't deny that their prices pretty much outperformed everything else on the market. Let me just bring it up. So, okay, we'll get to the Pulse Chain part right after this, right? So, because the two is pretty much the same crowd. It's very, very interconnected, and you have to understand the marketing and why people buy Hex and its price performance and how people see it in order to understand why I invest in Pulse Chain. So if you look at just their the maximum price chart for Hex, this is buggy again because I have too many things open. Hold on. Okay, if you just scroll down, so it went from what is it, like 0.5 cents to now like 10 cents plus, right? So like like 100 to 300x, right? If you count like even post-launch price, so it practically has outperformed everything else. Now, yes, throughout this period, I'm sure like Richard Hart has taken profits. He made himself rich, right? He probably sold off some Hex, but if you look at the chart, like it's part of what every project does, right? Some projects have the wrong investors and they dump like just without care on the market, and they don't do any marketing for the project, and they don't bring in new buyers, so the price doesn't go up, right? But in this case, like clearly they're doing something right. And now the marketing is deceiving, yes, to some extent, right? Because people they say like, okay, their market cap is like 70 billion if you count the total supply, but the trading volume is only 27 million, right? So clearly majority of the market cap is not trading, right? Whether that's locked up or held by Richard Hart or their team or whatever, doesn't really matter. As long as you see that they use the 70 billion, like huge market cap, as a marketing narrative, as a positive, then it's not bad, right? Because you are not buying into this and saying, oh, I'm buying into a 70 billion market cap project, right? You are buying into the fact that they have funding, they are good marketers, clearly as shown on the chart, and they are good market makers. So with that, the hex supply they hold, they are able to pump the price. That's literally what is showing on the chart. When it was low, obviously I didn't believe in it, because like price is just kind of sideways, it does nothing. Like, what is all these things you promised? But since price is rallying, clearly they're doing something right. You cannot like dismiss that, right? Now, the fact that they say they have 70 billion market cap, you probably should not, you should take that as a grain of salt, because they only have 27 million trading volume. If you are at 70 billion market cap, you should be at like a couple billion trading volume at the very least. So take that with a grain of salt, but we're not here to speculate on the market cap, right? We're here to speculate on the price. So, okay, so that's the first thing to understand about Hex. Now, I'm not buying the Hex, right? I'm buying the Pulse chain. Why? Because the same people that missed out on Hex is now getting into Pulse chain, because it's the same founder, it's Richard Hart, it's a very similar type of marketing play, where it's the same type of team. I'm sure they'll have similar type of locked up staking, and most likely the team and Richard Hart will own a large amount of the supply again. But this time, again, they'll do like the same kind of annoying marketing towards retail. They'll send like letters to bombard the compromised emails and mail addresses. They'll post ads on TVs and buses and like football events, etc., just to target the dumb retail, right? But this time around, they have like hundreds of millions to do that with. And I think this scale will be much bigger. So it'll be super annoying to see like Pulse Chain everywhere. But most likely you will see Pulse Chain everywhere with like all the retail ads you'll see. So yeah, so that summarizes it. It's the same team, it's the same founder behind Hex. When Hex was raised, right, they designed the tokenomics, the locking, so people were locking in, and then they used around the $5 million they raised, along with the Hex they have, to sell off, over time, but actually funnel a lot of funds to be made so that retail was buying in, and effectively price pumped 300x, right? This time around, a lot more people are convinced of this project, as far as I know, in the influencer space, and they raised a lot more money. Probably not so much as 700 million. They a lot of this is probably themselves, but I think 100, 200 million is pretty realistic for the outside money going in. So they have a much larger marketing/market making budget, and with the successful track record, I think this will do great. Once you understand that, like you have to treat it for what it is. Is it like targeting retail? Yes. Is there not going to be like much technical innovation? Yes. This is exact copy of Ethereum, but with validators. So it's effectively a BSC Polygon copy. But are they good at marketing and are they like relentless marketers? 100%. So yeah, it's look out for like tons of dumb ads on Instagram, on like YouTube, Twitter, bosses everywhere. What you see XRP and Hex do, these guys are going to do the same for Pulse Chain. Yeah, so that's why I sacrificed 300,000 into this. You can find my ENS by just typing virtual bacon, and you'll see how much I put into this. So you still have about a day and 9 hours to take part in this. Tentatively, I think their launch is in like a month and a half or so. You can follow Richard Hart on YouTube or Twitter to follow that. Again, like I said, right, if you don't like their marketing approaches and you think it's very deceiving, all power to you, right? You don't have to participate. I see that as well. But I will call out their marketing inaccuracies when there is some, and say, okay, like maybe price or market cap is too high now, and then like, you know, the marketing, if they say they're marketing but their price is going down, then I'll call it out, right? But like if they're marketing, whether that's somewhat deceiving or not, the price is going up, then great, like there's opportunity there. So yeah, I just, you have to be honest with yourself. Like people see it and they like to take the high ground, but then after that, like they shit on it, but they secretly invest in it, and what the hell, you know, like it's, yeah. If I invested something, I'll tell you guys. So that's basically what it is. Be honest with yourself. Understand that dumb retail will likely FOMO into this. Okay, and that's it. I took quite a bit of time to cover Pulse Chain because I think there's definitely opportunity in this. Hope this has been useful for you guys. Again, as always, like treat things with a grain of salt. I'm fully willing to lose the 300k just like vertical to zero, but I think the upside for this is quite asymmetric in comparison to putting it into ETH or Wi-Fi or DeFi or Axie, whatever, right? It's just what it is. Aside from that, that's pretty much it. I'll look at events chat for a bit and then YouTube chat for a bit. Just to answer some quick questions. So Dorap asks, thank you for replying, really appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for the questions. Guys, for next week and just throughout this week, we'll start a new thread. So in our Discord, you can always go to the same thread and post questions and topics you want us to cover for next week, and we'll discuss it again. CTM asks, what happens when you sacrifice into Pulse Chain? Is the equivalent amount of POS sent to the wallet? Yes. So right now, you can treat it as a snapshot. So they're taking an average price. If you just look at here, right? Once you sacrifice, you can find my address on here if you just type in my address by search. But if you look at any of these people that sacrifice a couple $1 million, they call it sacrifice because they want to avoid the security law legal issues. But effectively, like you send ETH or Bitcoin or USDC, whatever, to their address, this so-called like crowd sale address, you can call it. And then at the time that it's sent, right, it's taking a snapshot of the estimated time-weighted average price, or just the average price around that time for that coin you sent, times the amount of coin you sent, and then it gives you a total value in it, USD. And then there is a kind of early participation, like a boost. So you time it by the early participation boost, and then you get a total amount of points. And these points, everyone's points is, once the sacrifice phase is concluded and everyone's points is tallied together, there's a total supply. Each person owns how many points. POS goes into your wallet, depending on the wallet that you use to sacrifice. So yeah, that's how it works. And because we are already at the last day and a half, you don't have to worry about the multiplier, right? So it's the flat rate now. Yeah, so that's how that works. Okay, so that's events chat. Let me go on the YouTube chat just for last bit, answer some last questions, and then we'll call it for this week's call. Ricardo asked, what Discord server is this? Again, if you want to see like anything, yeah, if you want to be part, ask questions, all of our contributors, myself, TA analysts, etc., all of our content, before they're like posted publicly on a weekly call, make sure you join our Discord, discord.gg/bacon. Okay. Do you think Karura is good buy at this time? I don't have an opinion, to be honest. I think Karura, since it's already listed on the public market, it now goes into the Bitcoin dominance type of trade scenario, which it would be a good buy if Bitcoin dominance starts trending down again. Criping asks, says, I absolutely didn't buy the dip, but it's killing my brain and emotions. Dude, let me tell you, nobody bought a dip. Nobody did. Trust me. I know some like people that trade with very large sizes. They very, very select few people. So don't worry about it. You just want to be on the right side that rides the large move. The small amount of really difficult bottom 30%, not useful. Most people miss that. Jimad's World asks, how do you have open interest indicator on TradingView? There isn't one that's reliable. You have to use Coinolites. That's the site I use. Coinolites.net. Google it, you probably find it. What about deeper network? Just start Genesis mining. Again, like altcoins that are already at open market, have to look at Bitcoin dominance. Annan asks on Discord, sorry if you'd be late joining. Have we covered Bitcoin in this session? Yes, we have. You can find the recording on my YouTube channel or the BaconDAO YouTube channel. For the very least, it's going to be on my YouTube channel. Just scroll back a little bit, you'll see it. About a 1 hour mark. Ari Miller asks on YouTube, how long are you planning to hold Pulse for, or is the sacrifice a lockup? The sacrifice is you put down your money for basically like a pre-sale type of thing. I honestly don't know how long I'll hold it for. It'll really depend on the price performance post-launch. Thoughts on ICP? Their team dumped, right? It's really shitty situation, but I would not recommend anyone to even discuss it or look at it. It's really bad. Cool. Okay, so that's about it for all the questions. Thanks for joining the call today, everyone. Is PLS vested? No, I don't think it's vested. But you have to look out for their official announcement. I hope it's not vested. I really hope so. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not on the team. I'm not a pre-sale investor. This is the only way to get it. So I put my money down. I hope it's not vested, but I don't know. You have to look out for their official launch announcement. Anyways, I think that's it for this week. BaconDAO launching very shortly in just about 2 weeks. We're planning the last phases. So as you can see, there's a lot of changes happening in the Discord right now. We're bringing on some more categories based on the gold purple tier, gold tier, and platinum tier chats and gems and trading floors and charts we post. Yeah, and then our BaconDAO Hub or the discourse is also getting ramped up. All of our content will be moved there. Dave Ether has already posted a research piece on Convex DeFi coin. We'll do a bunch more of these type of opportunities on there for you to earn Bacon. So if you have gems picks like Dave Ether's, right? I think that was a really good piece. We'll try to get some rewards to him. And then ask anything as well. So for people that help in the currently the Ask Anything Discord channel and the Ask Anything discourse or the hub category, we'll try to feature like the top questions that need answered, and then other members can help. And as long as the help is legit and useful, you'll be rewarded bacon. So that's coming very soon. And I think I saw a general question somewhere earlier today. Someone was trying to find a way to mirror like my trades or how I'm pivoting in and out of Bitcoin. Yeah, so we have a plan for that, a very concrete plan through Enzyme Finance, previously Melon. So I'm going to be setting up a sort of fund type of thing on chain, like a DeFi thing. So you can put money in there and then like you can withdraw anytime. And I can only manage the funds. I cannot withdraw. And I'll use it based on the strategies I always cover, which is like Bitcoin dominance. Sometimes I'm in Bitcoin, sometimes I'm in mostly altcoins, sometimes I'm in stable coins, right? So all happened on chain. You have like decentralized ownership, right? So that's also coming very soon, shortly after launch. I wouldn't call it a hedge fund because it's a very small scale and it's DeFi, so DeFi fund, so to speak. Okay, that's it for this week. Thanks for joining on the call. We almost dragged this on for 2 hours, but I think this format is really good. We covered a lot of Q&A questions. Looks like it was a lot of insightful stuff. So thanks guys for jumping in. I'll end the call here. If you have check out our BaconDAO hub for this week's summary in the community calls category, and check out the BaconDAO Discord, discord.gg/bacon. In the DAO ideas segment, we'll post a thread for next week's ideas for not only myself, but hopefully other team members and contributors can jump in and we'll discuss the ideas all together. Yeah, have a good one, guys. Market is looking good again. Let's all make some money and stay safe out there. Bye, guys.